This is Anthony Cirone's Portraits in Rhythm Etude number 7 for the snare drum. One of the most important things is to make sure that your call and answer phrases are the same dynamic. So the first one is forte, the second is piano. You have to make sure then that the third one is the same forte and the fourth is the same piano. What I'm doing is changing my beating spot on the drum. You can mess around with that, so it's not just a stick height issue, but also where I'm playing. So for the softer stuff, I'm heading almost all the way to the edge. And then later on, you got to make sure you're differentiating between forte and fortissimo, and then finally, third line from the bottom, there's the double fortissimo or fortissimo, and then back to forte and fortissimo again. So make sure that your levels and your beating spot are really consistent throughout all of those dynamic areas. One of the trickiest technical aspects of this is the rough. These got to be as close to the beat as possible in this style of playing, so different than the wide ones you might play in a more rudimental example. So make sure those are really tight to the beat, and so you're not obscuring the larger rhythm. One thing to note about the accents in measures 34, 35, and then 39 and 40 is that the dynamic is already forte, so you don't want to have a massive difference between accents at blastissimo and the smaller notes at pianissimo or something like that. It should all be forte, so think more of an emphasis rather than a real smash. In measure 44, the closed rolls, I'm using a 32nd note roll bass, and that should work for the final tempo. It's also handy that when you come out of that roll, the next rhythm that you have is also 32nd notes, so your hands shouldn't stop moving at the same pace, so it's exactly the same tempo. A wee bit of space between each of the rolls is good. We're lucky to have accents on the start of each roll. That makes life a little easier. And then make sure that coming out of that final roll, you get all the way down to piano, whether it's a height issue or out to the rim.